Everybody on this call, what I want you to concentrate on is making sure that you're always doing actions with the voter challenge early vote win, making sure when you do go vote that you hashtag voter challenge. For Virginia, you can see it behind us, using that hashtag. So you're making and challenging other people to vote. And also our big next drive is October 17th. We have the Women's March, but we also have people doing marches, driving the vote all over Virginia and the United States. So make sure that you organize something on October 17th that is your own march in your own space, whether it's in your local community or join something going on to get the vote out. So that's about it. Let's swat some flies, Robin. What do you got? I'll hand it over to you for postcards. We'll get that started.
Okay, so Steele, make me a co-host before you do anything else so we can get started. I know she's going to Facebook Live.
Oh, she's probably busy doing all kind of stuff.
Okay, but
it's okay. Okay, so.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and great, she did that. All right, so I want to say, since we are now Postcards for VA has done our mailing, and remember we did over 435,000 postcards. And I'm just saying, Virginia's leading the way with all of these early voting. And as far as I can tell, it's Postcards for VA that did the mailing that got everyone out for early voting. So yay us. But Virginia has always been a leader in postcards, and we are so proud that the postcarders in Virginia are paying it forward. And early on, Josh, Arlington Blue Families, and Virginia Democracy Forward said that they wanted to help, and in doing that, and help North Carolina, and they have done a fabulous job doing that. So I want to turn it over to Josh to say a few words about Arlington Blue Families and what they're doing. And while he does that, while he talks, I'm going to show a little video of the amazing work of Arlington Blue Families who have sold, and I'll let the drum roll as I show his video and he speaks for a few minutes.
Thanks.
All right, so I'm going to show your video in a second.
Well, while you're doing that, thank you so much, Robin, for inviting me to speak. It's so great to see so many amazing activist friends on this call.
Women don't sleep. They can't.
Nope.
We don't sleep. We don't catnap. But go ahead, Josh. We're sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we, we at Arlington Blue Families, we wrote tens of thousands of postcards through Postcards for Virginia in 2017 and 2019 and 2018, obviously for the congressional elections. And we wonder, we've been really focusing on North Carolina as such a pivotal state for so many reasons, which Elizabeth Mitchell will explain, in much better detail later. But, we decided, why is there no postcards for NC? And so we decided we were just going to do it. And with Robin's help, we've sort of she's loaned us her platform for people to request postcards we've adopted 12 state legislative candidates. And you can see kind of, we've panned through, these are all the postcards that were driven down to North Carolina. Last night, we had about 50,000 postcards and some vote forward letters as well. And that's only a fraction of what we've done. The 12 candidates that we've adopted have sent us coming up on 150,000 addresses. A ton of those have been distributed through Postcards for Virginia website, and the rest have been distributed through locally through Google form that we've set up with Virginia Democracy Forward, with the DC Blue Wave. So, and the important thing, most important thing here is we still have a couple thousand addresses to write, and these need to go out by October 14th. So, we'll post, I'm sure that Robin or I can post the link to request those if you're local. or if you're not in Arlington or DC and and you want them, there you go. Postcards for NC is if you're outside the area. If you are local, we have postcards that we specially designed postcards that we can hand you. I can actually get the this is the custom design that we've been sending out to people. So it's just been a spectacular effort. All the candidates we've picked are not only great candidates, but are in winnable seats that are going to be very close. And we know from Virginia, just how close these elections can be and how much a couple thousand votes extra votes can make a difference. And B, we've seen that, there are reverse coattails. Excitement over local candidates filters up the ballot. That's going to help, it'll help, Elizabeth can go into much more detail, but we can, flip the legislature, end gerrymandering, and help elect Cal Cunningham, re-elect Roy Cooper, and give Joe Biden and Kamala Harris 15 electoral votes. So it's democracy Moneyball, and I'll let Elizabeth go into more detail about that. But please feel free to request more postcards, and let's finish on a high note. Get all these postcards out and help these great candidates win, flip North Carolina, save democracy. So thank you very much.
Love it. Thank you, Josh. Thank you. No, it's amazing. Again, I have to say the shout out to postcards for this election is just so critical and important, because the web you've built, the relationships that you've built, that this has helped us really do so much throughout Virginia. And then now in North Carolina is now our sister friend, right? We're helping her. We're sharing our tools and our tactics with her, and we've made new friends. And I love that this is how we work and this is how we build a coalition. So with that said, I'll have to tell just a quick little story, and because we want to get to our candidates, but I went into the Starbucks this morning and the woman said to me, oh, Catherine, it was so great. What are you up to? I go, well, we have our big show today. And I go, North Carolina candidates are coming on. You know what she said to me? Oh, I'm writing for them. I mean, what a small world. She goes, who are you having on? Ricky? I'm writing for Ricky. And I was like, I love it. And I just said, this is how we're going to win. When she just said, I love Ricky and I'm writing for this person, I'm like, how cool is that? So I'd like to welcome our three candidates on. Tess Judge is here. She's in North Carolina in House District 1. And we will have Ricky Hurtado in House District 63. And then we'll follow up with Dr. Aimy Steele, whom I met the other night on a call with Elizabeth Mitchell that's here. And she's fantastic. What great candidates. So welcome to you all. So let's start with Tess. Tess, please introduce yourself, unmute yourself, and tell us, how is the weather down in Kitty Hawk?
Well, good afternoon, and thank you all so much. It's so nice to be on here with you. Actually, it's a little overcast, but we've had some beautiful weather this week, and that's always nice. I am Tess Judge, and I'm running for Senate District 1, which is 11 counties, ladies and gentlemen, in northeastern North Carolina, and working hard and strong. And I cannot thank you all enough for the work that you're doing and the help, because as you all know, with COVID, being able to get out and campaign has been critically difficult, particularly when you have 11 counties. So I am really excited. I was very excited to watch Kamala Harris the other night. I was very disappointed to see our congressman, who for this district wrote a very, very unfavorable post, to which the Democratic Party in North Carolina has certainly taken that on. So we've just got to roll up our sleeve. We have got to work hard, and we have got to turn North Carolina this time. And your help is crucially important. And I could not be more grateful to each and every one of you. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Tess, for coming in. Sorry about that. Yes, you're right. Senate District 1, my bad on that one.
No, I know problem.
People writing for you know better than me, so that's good. So awesome.
A lot of counties.
So we go down there in vacation a lot.
Or I was going to say something.
Yeah. Thank you, Josh.
Good. Well, we'd love to have you.
We're going to come down, especially if it turns blue down there. So thank you.
Amen. We'd love to have you come celebrate.
And I'd love to sit. If Ricky, are you in the room?
Yes, I am. I'm right here.
Welcome. How are you doing today?
We are good. We are good. The campaign is good. I'm good. We're about, the home stretch for all of us. And so
Good morning, Buse. We can help you.
I woke up a little under the weather.
Oh, so
I think someone's unmuted.
it's okay. Buta, our Commonwealth
Sorry.
attorney, maybe mute. There she was. She's getting some important calls coming through. Sorry, Ricky. Please go ahead.
No worries. I was saying I was a little under the weather this morning. I think the transitions of the seasons were getting to me, but y'all dancing to respect, they're definitely lifted up my spirits. I needed that. I needed those grooves right here in the middle of the day. But no, things are great. Things are thankfully I am not running against some of the opponents that some of my fellow candidates are, and so it's been a little quieter in my district. Also testament to the momentum that we have in 63. It is overwhelmingly sort of in my favor because we have candidates who think they don't have to earn people's vote and earn people's trust to win this race. We've known that otherwise for the last 15 months. We've been working hard, even in the midst of COVID, to connect with our voters, and a big part of that is postcards. We've been sending mailers. We have digital ads. We have a bunch of stuff. But the one thing that people always comment on are the postcards. And so I'm pretty sure that your group and all the efforts from Virginia will be what brings this race home. So thank y'all so much for everything that you're doing.
Oh, that's great to hear. And it is really great to just connect the writers with the candidates. So it's really fun to see you all. So that's super. Thank you, Ricky. And I know you're really out in the rural district, correct?
My district, it's ex-urban, sort of suburban district. It is one of the fastest growing counties in North Carolina. And so historically it's been pretty rural, and there's some pretty rural parts of the county. But like a lot of our country, it is urbanizing pretty quickly.
All right. Well, great. Thank you. And last but not least, of course, is Dr. Aimy Steele. And I was so happy to see you the other night on the call. And I got all excited to just try to get all our candidates from that call into this particular program, because we have a lot of really great activists who would probably like to write for you and for all of the people here, give money, whatever you need. So go ahead, Aimy, take it away and introduce yourself and tell us how your campaign's going and what you need and all that good stuff.
Sure. First of all, thank you guys so much for an amazing effort in writing postcards. This cannot have come at a better time. I did receive a postcard, not sure if this was from y'all, but was it? Okay, this is the best postcard. It was such an amazing gift, and I really appreciate it. And then on the back, we have this wonderful verbiage, and I read it, and I felt like it was written just to me. So I don't know who wrote mine, but I thought it was a personal message just for me. Oh, it says, thank you, Shelly. Okay, so whoever Shelly is, y'all tell her thank you. But I am so elated to have received this postcard, and I know many voters are in the district. We are doing well. We are under attack, so things must be going very well. My opponent is slated to spend about $1 million against me for this seat, and that's because they know, the voters of Cabarrus County are super excited about this race, and we are doing our best to reach out to them. But y'all, I gotta say, when people receive a personal postcard that has their name on it, they tend to do what we do in teaching world all the time. We laminate it. They're gonna keep it, they're gonna put it on the refrigerator, and it's gonna matter so much more than all the other mail that they receive. So I really wanna say thank you for this. It's super cute, it's very colorful, and I really love it. But those are the things that matter in this district, especially since we're not able to knock doors. Last cycle, we knocked about 18,000 times. This cycle, I had a primary, our team knocked about 3,400 doors before March, and then COVID hit and it was over. So this postcard is literally like a small door knock saying, hey, we're thinking about you. And we wrote your name with a pen. We didn't type it, we wrote your name with a pen. So I just want to say thank you. The race is going great. We could not be in a better place, considering all the circumstances. And what people are telling us is that they are excited about the change, what's coming in November. So again, thank you guys so much. I'll definitely take any of your questions, and all the candidates, hey Tess, hey Ricky, these are my road dogs during this process. It is tumultuous at best to run for office. So if you've never tried it, you should try it one day, but it is quite the journey. So thank you all.
No, that's great. And I love that we found in Virginia too, that the candidates really were close knit, because it is hard and sometimes it feels lonely. And to have that connection really helps. I see Tess nodding her head. These relationships matter, correct?
They truly do. And we really, some days when it gets going tough, and some of you all are probably in areas, I think I saw in the chat, where you're seeing some of the commercials that are being run about me were just horrific. And, some days you think, why am I doing this? And then you see a child, or you see a young family, or you see a senior, and then you know why you're doing it. And you've
Yes.
just got to keep going.
No, that's beautiful. And I'm glad you have each other to lean on. And that's how we make it in activism. We really try to uplift each other up. That's why we always do music, Ricky. We always you have to have fun or you go a little crazy, right? So I'd like Elizabeth to pop in here, Elizabeth, and because I want you to just kind of really give the overview of your knowledge of what's going on in Carolina.
Thank you so much. First of all, I want to thank the candidates. We all know that you're the ones who are out there working the hardest. We're in the home stretch. I hope you're staying hydrated. I hope you are staying fueled up, because I know that this is terrible. It's the hardest thing, and you're being attacked, but that also means that we're winning. It means that we are really, really pushing back, and we are about to do this thing. I work with groups in DC. We've been organizing DC volunteers. We were in Virginia. We did your two cycle flip. We helped out. We canvassed, we postcard. We did exactly this plan. And we helped you guys with your trifecta. That is exactly what we want to bring to North Carolina. North Carolina has been redistricted out of democracy for the last decade. If we don't do this year, if we do not elect these people on this call, it will be redistricted out of democracy for the next decade. That means we're going to lose congressional seats. It means we're going to have a tougher time getting Senate seats. And we're going to have a tougher time electing presidents. That's what's going to happen. So right now we are so close with this help that we have given these candidates, with this financial, I'm going to be honest, they need money. We also need money. We have an Act Blue link in there that supports a whole panel of a whole cast of flippable seats that are in North Carolina. Donate to Ricky, donate to Amy, donate to Tess. Let's make sure that they're getting the financial support they need, because when we force Republicans to spend money across the state in all of these districts, we are all stronger for it. So that's what we need help with. We're wrapping up our postcards. Those are happening. We're also looking for people to help out with polls, and we're also doing a phone bank today. We're doing a phone bank for, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name. This is awful, sorry. I'm referring to Nicole Quick. Nicole Quick is another one of our candidates. She's amazing. When we help all of these candidates with this work, we're going to be doing phone banks for Ricky. We're going to do phone banks for Amy. Now that we're in these final days, we're transitioning from postcarding, because we need to get them in the mail, to phone banking, because we need to turn out the vote. People are voting. I'm amazed at what's going on in Virginia. You guys are almost up to 1 million people, I think.
Wow.
1 million people. And that's because you changed laws to make that happen. The government that you just elected, that has passed close to 1,300 new bills, right?
Right.
Let's shine that up. That's huge. You came in, you did this. You are now voting safely because of that. We want that to be happening in North Carolina. We need that to be happening in North Carolina. But the only way we make that work is if we all lean in and help them. So yeah. I'm happy to answer any questions. But
that's great. I appreciate you being here. And I know that there'll be some questions in the chat, so pay attention to that. And in fact, Robin, if you want to, why don't you throw up the poll, let the people in the chat tell us about how they're voting while we segue to our next guest, which we've been so excited that the president of the Feminist Majority is here, a feminist icon, a warrior for just probably her whole life on women's rights, and the former head of NOW, Eleanor Smeal is here. So we're so excited to have you. And I know you were speaking before we started the program about the race in North Carolina. You're well acquainted with what's happening down there. So we could start there, since we'll segue about North Carolina and voting and the Senate race down there. And then also really talk about the Supreme Court, what that is meaning, what that really has got the Feminist Majority thinking about, what actions we need to take around there. And then also your work globally on women's rights, and just how we're going to tie it all together. Really, it is about power it is about people having their rights, and then we see it, how it affects really equality across the whole globe. So welcome and thank you for being here.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. You got me all pepped up. It is important to keep the spirit up, but we're getting there. I've been personally always interested in North Carolina. I went to Duke, so I have a North Carolina connection, but it's imperative that it turns blue. I think it's on that way, on the way to turning blue. Remember, it turns blue, we pass the ERA in North Carolina too. So, which we should do. And the redistricting or the whole lawsuits and the winning of them is making a difference, but your spirit and everything you're doing and these wonderful candidates are really making a difference. We did it here in Virginia. I think we definitely can do it in North Carolina. Very, very hopeful that we take the state legislature, flip it, and that we pick up several seats for the congressional districts. And I hope we pick up the US Senate district by defeating Tillis and electing Cunningham.
Oh yeah, no doubt that that's so important. And we just the down ballot, like Elizabeth was talking about, and that's how it happened in Virginia. It was the excitement of the ticket on the delegate in the Senate races that drove the higher up. So yeah, so what is your thoughts now? I mean, obviously you've been in this battle a long time for women's rights, and we seem to obviously be going backwards. And then the unfortunate news of losing such a champion on the court for women, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So tell us about how that affected you, and then in general, your work and what we're looking at going forward.
Well, we're in a crucial time. I think this is, a lot of people are saying it, but I think we have to vote as if our life depends on it. We have to change the top. We have to change the presidency, pick up the Senate, and just think of what we can do. If we flip the Senate, which I hope we do, I think the House and Senate will do a lot of what we've done in Virginia. It will be a lot new activity. But most importantly, I think they'll remove the deadline, or not what we're calling the timeline on the ERA. And I think it'll be enshrined in the Constitution. So it's, for me, it's 50 years of work. I started working on the ERA, I think around 1970. And it's been a hard fight. And of course, it's going to, there's a possibility the court will turn more conservative. But as I say, the originalists should vote for putting the ERA in the Constitution on the grounds that the Constitution only says you need 38 states, or actually it says 3/4 of the states ratifying it. With Virginia, we got the 3/4 of states. Let's show their originalist principles. There was, by the way, what the hold on it right now is that the Trump administration, in the name of the Department of Justice, is told the National Archivist not to certify it. But remember, when the Constitution was adopted, and the amending process is right in the Constitution, there was no Department of Justice. The president was purposely given no role in the amending process, and that the states were given the major role. So if they're originalists, let them originally decide that they're going to confirm it. But I really think we have a chance. We got to take that chance. We put a lot of work into this. We need it now. And so I think that equality is on the ballot. It's one of the major things on the ballot, but so is our whole democracy. We really, if we don't, we got to get into people's brains that what just happened in Michigan with the threat of kidnapping the governor, this is not a little thing. There's been too many dog whistles, too many encouragements of these right-wing militia. And we've known about it for a long time. Some of these people have harassed clinics. I don't think that people realize that, but this militia movement is pretty scary.
No, I think you bringing that up really just reminded me, like you said, what is at stake here? That this kidnapping a female, it felt really just so intimidating and misogynistic. I mean, my reaction was so visceral. And then you reminded me that the abortion provider that was murdered was connected to a Montana militia, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Yes. So we see
it never got very much press at the time, but he definitely was connected to a militia. And we know because we have the Feminist Majority Foundation has been doing a clinic protection campaign. We call it the National Clinic Access Project since '89. And we have been following the extremists that are threatening. There's a lot of misogyny in these threats. It's principally men who, for whatever reason, want to control women. And basically, it's the violence at the clinics, as you well know, the threats, the shootings. It should not be a part of a democracy. Reality is we vote. We don't settle disputes by guns.
No, and I mean, at the end of the show, we will be talking with the Attorney General, because this really goes to the voter intimidation and what our rights are around that. But I think that we've definitely gone to this really very scary place where we now have a president that's really inviting this in and really allowing it to happen. So so I know that's very important to really kind of link the two, because it's very interesting to see how they're linked, and hopefully the FBI is already really watching this kind of activity for the vote. So,
and remember the SCOTUS appointment, the Ruth Bader Ginsburg appointment, if this is allowed to go through, that's a vote against Roe v. Wade. And that's a vote against access not only to abortion, to birth control. It would be sending us back decades. And it's really stealing a seat. The election has begun. They should not take a vote before the election. And I think we should keep the pressure on, because let's face it, right now there's about 10 Senate races too close to McCall. So McConnell is threatening his own majority by doing something immensely unpopular. Something like over 2/3 of the public think that should wait until after the election.
Right. And it almost feels like that doesn't matter. The whole thing for them seems to be able to it's about power. It's about dominance. It's
Right.
not about fairness, like you've pointed out. So let's just say this. I'd like to know what the Feminist Majority, in the sense of calls to action, we have activists in the room. So what you would think is the most strategic, smartest thing to do right now for activists to get involved in first? And then secondly, if this does go through, I mean, do we then safeguard ourselves through the federal process of our states? I mean, the state process.
Well, yeah, I mean, what you all are doing is the most important thing. We're in the home stretch of this election campaign, and our viewpoints on all of the major issues are by far the overwhelming majority. The only reason that we have these problems with state legislatures is gerrymandering. Let's be real. And the suppression of the vote. Suppression of minorities, the suppression of women's votes, the suppression of student votes. We at the Feminist Majority have been really, really encouraging students to vote. It's their future. If we're going to deal with the climate, if we're going to have equality for all, if we're going to really deal with this virus, I mean, from the very, we have to flip the Senate, and we have to win the presidency. And I think, but I like your approach of also starting from stateless legislatures. We've ignored them for too long, and you can see in Virginia, the minute that legislature flipped, bango, they extended Medicaid. It's one of the first things they did, providing thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, coverage that they did not have. The minute it flipped totally, which was 2019. Very shortly thereafter, the Equal Rights Amendment, which had been caught in committee. There had never been a floor vote in our state since 1972 because it was caught in committee politics. But let's face it, we've had powerful interests against equality. It isn't just, now I think we're learning a different type of organizing. And I really think what's happening with the internet, but what's happening really with grassroots efforts like yours is changing things. We're not a minute too soon.
No, I think that we woke up to understanding. I know in Virginia in 2017, legislatures matter. We changed gerrymandering, all these things. They has consequences that Republicans and Democrats alike can vote in our state. We don't have that worry. So we can now concentrate helping other states, which is great also with those efforts. But we do have a question that was posed. I think we want to know about like what women should be doing and men should be doing about this. there is this Women's March on October 17th, which some people feel conflicted about. I mean, we're telling our activists to have smaller demonstrations where they live or do drive the vote in their cars. A lot of our elderly people do not want to go and march. What is your stance on this? Are you participating in the march, or what will you be doing to
Well,
make
the Feminist Majority has become a co-sponsor, but we're saying, like you are, we have to decentralize. Actually, the march is going to be not just here in DC, it's going to be events all over the country. But also on the same day, we had planned it a long time ago, now in the Feminist Majorities is having a power lunch virtually. So we're going to be on a Zoom thing. We invite everybody here. Just I think it's on NOW's website. You can register because we think that we got to keep our eye on the election. So we'll be having a lot of the candidates that are running for Congress and the Senate on that. But I think that more action the better. Let's not forget that the 2017 March, I think helped. I mean, all the door knocking was important. We had wonderful candidates and so much energy. But I also think that the energy from the march helped us in 2017, 18, and 19. So, but I can't go to those now because of the especially older people. But whatever we do, we have to wear mask. We have to take care of ourselves. So people shouldn't be pressured to go to something if in fact they think it's too dangerous.
Well, I like,
and they got to wear.
Yeah, I like what you said about decentralizing it. And I think that's what we're just really saying, everybody's just do your thing, make sure it's concentrated on voting also. And we only have like a minute or two left. And I would like to talk about your work in Afghanistan, because I think this ties to this whole issue globally, really what the fight's about for women. I mean, truthfully.
Well, right now, Afghanistan's in peace talks and the women's rights movement in Afghanistan. And there's a big movement now. It isn't the Afghanistan of 20 years ago. Millions of kids are going to school, both girls and boys. About 40% of the students are girls in the K through 12 area. But right now, we're about 30% of the college students, especially the big schools. They have 175 colleges working. There's women are doctors, we're lawyers, we're judges. It's amazing the progress, which the public doesn't hear much about. But believe me, we've worked on this since the decades ago, but 1996, we came out for and led a big campaign that you can't take all human rights away from women and still be recognized by the US and UN. And we got the US and the UN not to recognize the Taliban. But the Trump administration has been negotiating with the Taliban. Now there's peace talks and Afghans are at the table, the Afghan government. There are 4 women in the delegation, not as many as we wanted, but there are, and they're all outspoken on women's rights. The opening ceremonies, most of the major countries talked about the need for democracy, to maintain the democracy, for women's rights, and for human rights. But our country did not. And now, just yesterday, Trump has said that he wants all troops out by Christmas. That sounds good, but we only have a very small number there. And if we pulled everything out, we would be undermining the democracy. And I think God help these women who've stood up so brave. They've been so brave. And we now have women's organizations in all 34 provinces. There is a movement there. And what we're doing is we want to stand strong with them. We're asking for people to urge the Congress, members of Congress, you do not desert women's rights and human rights. If we do, we know what happened when the terrorists took it over last time. We don't need that to happen again. But also human rights and women's rights, when they are on the table and not negotiated away, but kept, peace is sustained. The chance of peace is much, much greater. And so we're standing strong with the Afghan women.
No, thank you. And I think that's a great way to kind of end the segment, because I think that what's the irony for me is that we're trying to go in other countries and talk about women's rights and putting it in law in the Constitution, and we're fighting our own battle here. And the Trump administration globally has made it a disaster for women, and especially in the time of COVID, we see that women are actually struggling more. So we appreciate you being here, and I know we'll stay in touch and we'll be into action. I'd like to be able to put your power lunch in the chat if Stair or somebody, I think everybody should sign up for that. I think that will be something we'll put a call to action on, Ellie.
Yes, that's great.
So thank you very much.
I'm so happy with all you do. Any way we can help you all. We're Northern Virginia. That's where our main headquarters is. So
you're a great leader.
You've done a great job.
Thank you so much. So thank you. So I'd like to, with that said, I think it's really important that we get into our segment on voter protection. And I would like to start with Annette Lang, who's going to say something before Buta, the Attorney General, starts. Annette is an amazing activist who now is working down in North Carolina, South Carolina on voter protection. So Annette, unmute yourself and just give us an update and what you think is critically important for right now winning this vote.
Thanks, Catherine. As everyone knows, we want to get everybody out to vote in North Carolina, but if their votes aren't counted, it doesn't matter. And so in North Carolina, there's estimates that anywhere from 75,000 to 150,000 Democratic votes that are vote by mail will not be counted because of deficiencies in either their own signature requirement, the voter signature requirement, or the witness signature requirement. North Carolina does have a witness signature requirement. So the North Carolina Democratic Party, in conjunction with the Combined Campaign, has advanced an incredibly aggressive voter protection team to try to make sure every vote in North Carolina is actually voted. So I've been involved in activities with the North Carolina voter protection team, and I'm just going to lay out for you a few and put it in the chat, some action items to do, because this is the perfect time actually to transition from postcards to actually doing these other activities, because the postcards are winding down. So the primary virtual activity that people here in Virginia can do is phone calls. They are phone banks. These phone calls and phone banks vary in what the content is. Sometimes there's something called chase calls, where you call a voter who has requested an absentee ballot and you ask, do you know how to do it, submit it correctly? So that's a chase call. There were and will be again cure calls. These are to voters who submitted and filed an absentee ballot, but it's deficient. And those calls are on hold because there's very significant litigation going on in North Carolina regarding the cure process. But they're going to start up again. And in the interim, this phone banking is critical for other processes. The third type of phone banking is to recruit volunteers for either poll observation or the next activity that I'm going to describe to you. So we've got the phone calls. And the second type of major activity is in person, because you cannot get all of the people whose deficient ballots, whose ballots are deficient, you cannot get through to them by phone. There's a large number, at least 20%, that the Democratic Party does not have their phone numbers for. And then there is this other very large percentage that even though we're calling, they don't answer their phones. So this is called Knock Doors for Cure. Okay, so it's an in-person, door-to-door canvassing. And what makes this so special and so unique is that all these people have voted. These are not people you're trying to persuade to do anything. These are people who you are sometimes, at least on the phone calls we've done so far, telling them for the first time, your vote is deficient. But you're trying to help them to figure out how they can cure that deficiency. So there is a virtual kickoff event this Saturday, October 8th at 2 p.m. I'm going to put the link in the chat for anybody who really would like to get on the ground a little bit.
Yes.
They need a virtual army down there to reach every single voter. They have just hired another 12 people for this exact effort, this Knock Doors for Cures. So I'm going to put that in the chat. I
Great.
will also put in the chat the actual sign up for the Knock Doors for Cures, as well as links for all the voter protection activities they're doing. But there's two main ones: phoning and door knocking to people whose ballots are deficient.
Woo! Well, man, you got me all riled up now. Because I agree with you, Annette. When we talked the other day on the phone, that's why it's so great to connect as activists, because you got me just like going, yes, we're voting. When we vote, we win. But damn, if our vote doesn't count, this is where they're looking to win in the margins, as we know this, attacking the post office, throwing out ballots. So I think the work you're doing is important. So activists that have time, chasing those votes are going to really be consequential for all the candidates we saw on today. So I'd like to if you want, do you want to do the spin for the prize before we get to Buta, or we just want to do it after?
Let's do Buta and do the spin at the end.
Yeah, let's spin at the end. Woo, I like that. Okay, first I'm going to release the results of how people are getting out their vote, so people can look at that. You can look at the poll results yourself. What are the results? Can you read it for me?
All right, the results have been up, but it's
I'm sorry.
yeah. So most people, the overall winning one was voting early and telling everyone to vote early too. Then I think next was contacting family and friends. But I have to say, eating chocolate, drinking early and often, also is giving them a run for their money. And with that, let's bring Buta on.
Yeah, Buta, thank you. And I'm sure you're drinking your chocolate and eating your. Where are you, friend? So Buta, yeah, there you go. See, look she has her chocolate. So Attorney General, you're very special to us.
He's Commonwealth.
The Commonwealth, yes, the Commonwealth Attorney, Buta Biberaj. Well, you're so special to us because of we're so involved in your race in 2019. We canvassed for you, and to watch you win out in Loudoun County was just a pleasure to have a justice warrior like yourself. So please, we'd like to talk about what's going on about voter protection. We saw the Attorney General, Mark Herring, speak about this. We know that the people are ready to prosecute if there is issues, but can you give us an overall of what is going on and what can we actually do about it as voters or citizens too?
Yes, and thank you. And the only reason why I didn't remove my mask earlier is because this was in honor of Justice Ginsburg. So let me bring that a little bit closer.
Yes, oh yeah.
Okay, so that is in honor of her. And as I said earlier, Eleanor Smeal, it is a pleasure always to hear you speak. And I am I am honored to be part of this group because of the individuals with Network Nova and getting the vote out. And I know we use this phrase very regularly for you. And when we reference you, you guys are badasses. You're amazing. And I do appreciate all of the assistance that you gave to our campaign and to a lot of the candidates in Loudoun County, because we were very successful in flipping our board of supervisors, flipping our school board. So we're making some significant changes. As was just discussed, it is so significant that we have to worry about our vote. And it is from a whole bunch of different things. It's the nitpicking or the technical violations, that anything that they can do to try to discount a vote is what we have to worry about it. So what I want to do is I also want to deal with the physical intimidation aspect of it, because we see it, and we see our president saying we're going to have, and I think what he ended up doing is he was calling for individuals to be our poll watchers, or we want to encourage people to come watch the vote. First of all, there are some rules around that. Okay, so we got to be mindful about that. But two, without kind of being alarmist, although we are dealing with COVID and wanting to be protective of our safety and that, we can go in numbers. Just wear our masks, do our 6 feet, but just don't feel like maybe you have to go by yourself. Or, hey, how about we vote early? We have done the best job ever. And I think I saw statistics that the votes in Virginia, as far as individuals voting early, is 10 times that amount from 2016. And we still have 3+ weeks to go. So let's go out and do it. I know I can speak about Loudoun County. The lines look a little bit deep. They're about 20 deep, but man, are they doing a great job in getting people through in a quick period of time. So that's going to segue me to the incidents that we saw out in Fairfax County with the early voting. It was done at the Fairfax County Government Center. And lo and behold, we got people who are blocking sidewalks. We got them wearing paramilitary gear, you know, showing their AR-15s or whatever, AK-40s, whatever the numbers are. You know, doing that, and that's intended to intimidate. And I am here to assure you, just like our Attorney General said, that is unlawful. And the prosecutors across Virginia, and I don't care if you're talking about the tip of the South, East, West, or the North, we're all going to enforce the laws to make sure that we're going to do the best we can to make sure that everybody who wants to vote can vote and can vote how they wish. So what I've done is in our chat, I'm going to send you a link, and that is also, I'm going to address it in my PowerPoint because I'm allowed to share my screen now. I got a little bit of power. So we're going to do that.
Yep.
All right. So in here, and this is the coolest thing is because we're so close to DC, we get a lot of resources in Washington, DC that help us with issues that dealing with the national level, as well as Georgetown Law and the law schools out there. So all the stuff that I'm going to put in our links, I have stolen from Georgetown Law. They are dealing with what they call their CAP, and that's just the Constitutional Advancement and Protection. And that's what we want to be able to do is to kind of rely on that. So for starters, here it is. Voter intimidation, is it illegal? Hell yes. Okay, so do be and supported by that. That is something that no one has the right to take away from you. All right. As Eleanor Smeal went through the history as far as with the women's right to vote and things of that nature, you know what? We didn't come to this point in our lives where we could vote very easily, and we're going to do our damnedest to make sure that we protect it across the board. So what you do is you have the right to vote. You have the right to vote without any sort of intimidation by anyone, and the intimidation violations are federal violations. We'll talk about Virginia as well, and that is that it is a crime. It's a felony. It is a crime for anybody to interfere with the person's right to vote, how they want to vote and for whom they want to vote, as well as the physical act of registering to vote or voting. It is also unlawful for them to urge or aid anyone else to intimidate somebody. So this is, we're going to come into the segue as far as the militia. There are some remedies that are afforded, but it's a little bit hard to access the courts in such a short window, but there is federal law that provides for civil lawsuits based on voter intimidation. And that may be a remedy after the votes, but we want to make sure that our vote counts in real time. So we're not going to worry as much about after the fact as how do we get you to make sure that your vote counts on November 3rd. There's an interesting federal statute under Section 42 USC 1985, subsection 3, and it's actually called, there's a section 2, it's called the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871, which makes it unlawful for two or more persons to conspire to prevent, by force, intimidation, or threat, any voter from casting a ballot for the candidate of his or her choice. I just got a kick out of it because it's labeled, it's named after the Ku Klux Klan, which is like, interesting. It almost makes it sound like it's a badge of honor. So I like that dichotomy or that contrast there. What are examples of voter intimidation? This is what we saw.
Buta, excuse me, scroll your screen.
Oh, yeah, don't worry about scrolling my screen. All right, thank you. Let us do this. Thank you. Awesome. I got ahead of myself. I was just like talking. But as you can see, like some of the voter intimidation acts don't have to be super, aggressive or significant. They just have to be intimidation. So if you've got any sort of pushing or shoving outside of a polling site, that obviously may affect people who are driving to get ready to vote, that they may just turn around and not vote because they don't want to engage or be subject to that. Individuals who are confronting the voters by wearing military style or official looking uniforms because it has that heightened appearance that is a government sanctioned intimidation. Firearms or intimidating display of firearms. disrupting the voting lines or blocking the entrances, following voters, where they come beside you and they're just kind of talking at you and stuff like that. They can't do that. Obviously, verbal threats. And then aggressively approaching voters' vehicles or writing down license plates, because all of that is intended to either very overtly or subvertly intimidate somebody. So those are the things that we would suggest to you are ways that somebody can try to intimidate. Here are some actions that you can do. And we see this all across our society right now with our cell phones. If you're comfortable doing it, document it. One, you could call 911, you could call your local election officials, document what you're doing by taking a video or any sort of identifying information of the person or the vehicles and things that notion. And then also you've got the major number, the national number as far as the election protection, and it comes in different languages as well. So that is in our first slide that we indicated. So you've got some opportunity for somebody to come and assist. I believe a lot of our communities are also working with the following, and that is making sure that we have attorneys that are available for the poll watchers to call to get some guidance. So if there's a poll watcher there that's official, then you may want to address your concerns with that individual. Now we're going to talk about specifically in Virginia, and I'm going to add this to our chat so you have that. All right, I'm going to have to add that because now my screen is divided a little bit differently. So okay, so what we're going to end up doing is I'll add that to the chat room in a second. But in Virginia, this is the thing, again, when we hear the president saying that he's going to call up the militia to be able to protect our vote, that's something is actually that we are not thinking is going to be a formal call. So his making these statements and people rising to the occasion does not make it lawful for them to do that. So what we would suggest is that on that sheet, and as I said, I'll give you the link, that there is no protection under the Second Amendment for individuals to collectively get together and act as a militia, and then be those who are intimidating other members. So in Virginia, we have specifically the Virginia Constitution does not permit a private military unit from operating outside of a state authority. So the governor can call them up, but they can't just rise by themselves. And it actually is a felony for a paramilitary group to train, to gather for the intended purpose of creating a civil disorder. So that's the language that we have to look at for the civil disorder. They could collect all they want all day long, but once they start crossing over what somebody is doing, so it's not just them gathering for their own First Amendment privilege, what they end up doing is if they're doing it to harass or intimidate somebody, then that becomes the violation. Again, action points, what you can do, try to determine what are they doing. So the fact that they're wearing paramilitary gear or they have weaponry around them in of itself does not make it unlawful. If they're coming within the areas where people are walking towards the polls and intimidating, that becomes that part. What kind of signs or flags do they have? Is it something that is very aggressive? Are they acting almost as if we would expect law enforcement or the military to do, so that they are controlling individuals as to where they go online, where they go towards the polls, what they do, who they talking to, things like that. Those are the issues that we would suggest that you be mindful about and report them. So I'm going to stop my screen sharing for a moment.
Yes, while you're adding, we have just a few more minutes, but if everybody in the chat could just, in the room and the Zoom could hold on, we may go a few minutes over. I hope that's okay, because we still have some follow-up, so we like to do after Buta. So, but go ahead and wrap it up, Buta. Thank you, but keep going. I just want to make sure, hold on. We probably won't end right at 1, but please, we want you to finish.
So what I did is I'm adding about a total of 5 articles that will just give you some guidance as to what your expectations as a voter should be for you to be able to safely vote, and then also what your action points can be. The one thing I would just ask you to do is please do not directly engage if you can. We don't want anybody to get hurt. We want to do everything that we can to make sure that your vote counts. You have that within your control. Vote early. If you have a mail-in ballot, I know in Loudoun County, we just got our vote boxes, so ballot boxes. So those are coming out to the community. Some communities have fewer. We're very fortunate in Virginia that I think we are one of the states that is having more of them. We hear in other jurisdictions where what they'll do is they'll have one box, and it's, you know, somewhere where they might have hundreds of thousands of voters. So we know the gamesmanship that they're playing. We just want to make sure that the vote intimidation does not occur here. So thank you.
No, thank you. And I think it's so important what you said. Again, I can't say it again and enough. Elections matter. And because of what we did in 2019 and you being in office, it just makes all of our life so much easier in Virginia. So thank you so much for all you're doing. And I know I was on the call the other night with voter protection and the Board of Elections are well aware of this. They know what to do. They tell, go inside and get the Board of Elections people if there's an issue. That was, like you said, don't engage directly, go inside. These people have been around forever. They know what to do and they know how to handle it. So, so we appreciate you're out there and keeping the law straight for everybody. So thank you very much. With that, I'd like to hand it over to my teammate, Stair Calhoun, badass boutique lady. What do you got for us, honey? What you got? Ooh, you got some, she's gonna show us her badass boutique, some swag. We have all kind of cool stuff going on.
Thank you, Catherine. Let me share the screen. So really, we thought about Kamala today, okay? So she has been our badass example. So we are going to be offering your choice of one of these new pins. And actually, I'd like to see if maybe we could spin more than once, just because I think it's kind of exciting to see if you don't win it on the first time, if you do on the second. So here are our pins. Kamala, the middle one has badass very subtly in the back. And then we do have him, grab him by the ballots. That's also a new addition. Okay. And with your pin, you will get some panties. And anyone who buys anything on the Badass Boutique will get panties this week. Okay. I think that's and of course we've got our badass t-shirts. Let's see if I can pull this up. Nope, it's not letting me.
I have mine on.
I have mine on.
Okay, so there's our badass t-shirts for Kamala. All right, so let's have a spin.
Yeah, we love games and spins and prizes.
Okay, let's go for it. Right. And can we do one, two, or maybe two or three?
Why not? Okay, can everyone see the wheel? Yep. Let's spin it.
And could I say for our special guests that they should all get a button and underwear just for coming?
Absolutely. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Could everyone put their address in the chat?
To Stair. You can send your personal address to Stair.
Was our first winner.
So excited.
Trisha.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Put your address to Stair in the chat and we're going to spin again.
Thank you.
Tell her which button you want. Let's see who else is our winner. Woo!
Yeah, just put it in the chat. Put your address.
What? Dennis.
Dennis Ottinger. You've just.
Dennis, yay. Dennis definitely deserves a badass.
Unmute yourself, Dennis.
I was hoping for a Kamala for President pin.
Okay, yay.
All right, we're going to do one more before we hit Aretha.
Thank you.
And Dennis, we have to say, Dennis is really involved in the Virginia Grassroots Coalition, has done the website. So thank you. And the graphic.
Oh, another Lisa Sales.
All right.
Lisa, unmute yourself. Where are you at, Lisa? Are you in a meeting? She's probably like in a really important federal meeting. We're going to send you those pink voting underwear, which is voting is smart and sexy.
All right, one more. Here we go.
Oh, I love the sound. It's so exciting. Uh-oh. Jane, no.
Julie Crafton. Great. Let's find her.
It's Julie.
Julie can unmute. We can see you.
Okay, so Stair.
might be time to be dancing out of the
We
room.
need to dance out, but let me just say, Stair, you're looking good. All the swag looks good. So if you've won something today, and for our speakers too, send directly to Stair, or you can email her your address so we can send you the buttons and send you some Voting is Sexy and Smart pink special, grab them by the ballot panties.
And I just put Stair's email address in the chat. And with that, let's let Aretha dance out of the room.
Yes, yes. Thank you for everybody for coming, for all our speakers. Ellie, you got